today to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please go ahead, Matai, whenever you're ready then.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhakti Nashtiki. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 11, The Perfect Society for Social Classes. Text 24 to 35. Text 24. Offering obeisances to the higher section of society, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, being always very clean, being free from duplicity, serving one's master, performing sacrifices without uttering mantras, not stealing, always speaking the truth, and giving all protection to the cows and Brahmanas. These are the symptoms of the Shudras. Text 25. To render service to the husband, to be always favorably disposed towards the husband, to be equally well disposed toward the husband's relatives and friends, and to follow the vows of the husband. These are the four principles to be followed by women described as chaste. Text 26 and 27. The chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband, always wearing clean and attractive garments. She should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids so the entire house is always pure and clean. She should collect the household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with incense and flowers, and must be ready to execute the desires of her husband. Being modest and truthful, controlling her senses, and speaking in sweet words, a chaste woman should engage in the service of her husband with love according to the time and circumstances. Text 28. A chaste woman should not be greedy but satisfied in all circumstances. She must be very expert in handling household affairs and should be fully conversant with religious principle. She should speak pleasingly and truthfully and should be very clearly careful and always clear, clean and pure. Thus, a chaste woman should engage with affection in the service of a husband who is not fallen. Text 29. The woman who engages in the service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devotee husband and lives very happily in the Vaikunta planets. Text 30. Among the mixed classes known as Sankara, those who are not thieves are known as Antevasai or Chandalas, dog eaters, and they also have their hereditary customs. Text 31. My dear king, Brahmanas, well conversant in Vedic knowledge, have given their verdict that in every age yuga, the conduct of different sections of people according to their material modes of nature is auspicious because both in this life and after that. Text 32. If one acts in this profession according to his position in the modes of nature and gradually gives up these activities, he attains the Nishkama stage. Text 33 and 34. My dear king, if an agricultural cultural field is cultivated again and again, the power of its production decreases, and whatever seeds are sown, they are lost, just as drops of ghee on a fire never extinguish the fire, but a flood of ghee will. Similarly, over overindulgence in lusty desires mitigates such desires entirely. Text 35. If one shows the symptom of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra as described above, even if he has appeared in different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. Thus we end the Bhaktivedanta purport of 7th Canto, Chapter 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The perfect society for social classes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Over to you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mate. Let me start with brief prayers. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Destarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Happy Akshay Tritiya. Today is a wonderful day to engage in more Shravanam, Kirtanam, and Vishnu Smaranam. So, more and more devotion service today will be nice, quantitatively or qualitatively, based on your situation. So, we're in the 7th canto, 11th chapter. It's a nice section. So, overall, we heard in the first 10 chapters of this canto, we heard about Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu and Narsimhadev, that overall pastime, which is glorifying the pure devotion service of Prahlad Maharaj, or pure inclination of Prahlad Maharaj, and also contrasting with negative inclinations of Hiranyakashipu, like that. That is what we heard in the first 10 chapters. Now, this is, as we know from the first chapter of this canto, is a conversation between Narada Muni and Yudhishthira Maharaj. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj asks a couple of questions at the beginning of this chapter, asking Narada Muni to explain two things. What are the two things? He asked him, please explain about Sanatana Dharma and please explain about Varnashma Dharma. These two things he asked. So, Sanatana Dharma, he already explained in the first few verses, explaining that satisfaction of the Supreme Lord through devotion service is the best thing one can do, like that. And that means everything in one sense or the other, what we do in life should be geared towards that higher dharma, Sanatana Dharma, satisfying the Supreme Lord, like that. That is the essential principle he established. And after that, he starts to explain about Varnashrama Dharma. Within Varnashrama, we know Varnashrama phrase has two words, Varna and Ashrama. Varna includes Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. These are the occupational classes in the society. So in this chapter, he is explaining what are the activities of these different varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and what are the qualities or symptoms that they're characterized by. Those are two broad things he started to describe in this section, in this chapter. And the next chapter he will describe ashrama portion. Next four chapters actually. Or 12, 13, 14, yeah, four chapters, 12 to 15. He describes different ashramas. Ashramas are like Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa. Those ashrams will describe in the future chapters. In this chapter, so far, we've been hearing different occupational duties and different qualities of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So the first verse for today concludes that section about Sudra's qualities. And after that, he describes the qualities of a chaste woman or a chaste wife. And then further, he concludes the section with mixed classes. That means somebody is not classified as Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. How did that come about? A combination of things. How did that come about? That's called mixed classes. He describes about the mixed classes. And finally, he concludes the chapter with describing how these Varna classification is not based on birth, but based on guna and karma, based on the qualities and activities. This is the overall summary of this section. Just to refine one more time, we're concluding the section with the first verse for today, Sudra's qualities. And then after that, we'll discuss about the qualities of a chaste woman. And then after that, we'll discuss about mixed classes of men in the society. So, going to the first verse for today, which is the 24th verse. Interestingly, please pay attention. Normally, through Krishna consciousness, we are meant to cultivate Brahmana qualities. Yeah? But when we see the qualities of a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, we may get some humility. Oh my God, Sudra qualities are so great. I don't even have some of the Sudra qualities like that. We should get some humility is possible. So this verse is describing the Sudra qualities. What is it saying? They offer obeisance to higher sections of society. What are the higher sections of society? Brahmana, Kshatriya, and Vaishya. They are also called twice born. So now, other qualities, they're being always very clean. So sometimes we know that cleanliness is Brahmanical quality. Oh, I'm not a great Brahmana, it's okay, like that. We may discount. No. See, even Sudras are very, very clean. That's what is describing here. Sometimes we see, I had this experience of seeing people who deal with non-vegetarian also, they keep everything very, very clean like that. So, so this is also showing here, being always very clean. And then being free from duplicity. Duplicity means um, telling something to others, selling something to others to cause a quarrel or to somehow gain benefit of something like that. That is one way to describe duplicity. Another way to describe duplicity is we're trying to show off that we are a different person than what we are like that. So that's also duplicity. Of course, there is a small fine line between practicing to be devotee and being duplicitous as a devotee. What is the difference? It's important. Sometimes devotees ask this question. That's why I'm sharing. So practicing as a devotee means right now I feel I'm great person. I'm amazing. I'm far better than many other people. That is what is causing pride in my heart currently. But I know that is not good. So I practice expressions of humility. Okay, they are you are better, Prabhu, like that. So that is better than thinking that okay, I will be honest. I'm the greatest. I'll speak like that. I'm greatest, Prabhu. No, you are not the greatest like that. Than that, practicing is better. But practicing for what purpose is important? Practicing to show off my own greatness or practicing to cultivate the humility, to cultivate the right qualities. That is the consciousness we need to cultivate. And then it further describes serving one's master. So service is a important quality of Sudra also. Performing sacrifices without uttering mantras. Prabhupada writes in the purport that uttering mantras when somebody is not qualified doesn't give them the benefit of the mantras. Example of this Prabhupada commonly used to tell is the Gayatri mantras. So unless somebody is developed Brahmanical qualities, unless spiritual master has given Brahman Diksha, then chanting Gayatri mantra is helpful for them. It gives the benefits that it is meant to give, like that. That's why he is describing that they do participate in the sacrifices as studies, but without chanting the mantras is described. And they're not to steal. They're not stealing is also Brahmanic quality. Yeah, always speaking the truth. That's also Brahmanical quality. Of course, many of them is intersection between Brahmana also. These qualities, but it's interesting to see these are qualities for Sudra also. That means very very important for us. Always speaking the truth. And giving all protection to cows and brahmanas specifically is one more thing highlighted for Sudra symptoms. So now going to the next verse. So now we're transitioning to the next section of chastity of a woman like that. So in this section, I will essentially describe the overall theme for this section and then we'll go into the details. Overall theme for this section is uh, woman is synonymous to wife like that scriptures speak about because woman means married, woman means wife, like that. So essentially, number one. Another aspect is that a husband should be a pure Vaishnava. Husband should be a surrendered soul to spiritual master. Husband should be practicing bhakti. Husband should not be following irreligious principles like that. So that is the first principle. That means husband should be a nice Vaishnava, practicing Vaishnava, trying to always practice bhakti, trying to always practice principles of bhakti that are favorable to bhakti like that. Then for such a husband, the wife is very chaste to the husband so that they both can practice bhakti nicely and both can grow together and go back to Godhead. That is the essential theme of this whole section. In that context, this particular section is highlighting the duties of a chaste woman, how a chaste woman is like that. So that is the context and theme we should take it. Not for chastity's sake. Chastity not for chastity's sake only. Chastity's sake for growing together in bhakti, for serving together in bhakti like that. Going to the 25th verse. So four main principles to be followed by women, by chaste women are described here. First principle is to render service to the husband. So giving service to husband is an important quality of a chaste woman. Similarly, husband also needs to be in a service attitude and serve the wife also. Same thing, to be always favorably disposed towards the husband. That means not like for every small thing that the husband says, tell the opposite. I want the opposite. Not like that. Try to be favorably disposed towards the husband. That's an important quality. Then third thing, so we talked about rendering service to husband, favorably disposed towards husband. Number two. Number three, to be equally well disposed towards the husband's relatives and friends. So not like, oh, these are my family friends, they his family friends. I don't care about them. Not like that. To be favorably disposed to them. Why? Because I'm favorably disposed to my husband. Anybody related to husband is also favorable to me. I'm favorable towards them like that. So the third quality. And the fourth one is to follow the vows of the husband. Prabhupada emphasizes this aspect in the purport. Two aspects Prabhupada emphasizes in the purport. One is to be favorably disposed towards husband, number one. Number two, uh, to be follow the vows of the husband. For example, husband has taken a vow for following the four regulative principles. Husband has taken vow to chant the holy name 16 rounds a day, uh, like that. When the husband has taken those vows, then it's the wife's duty to support the husband in following those vows. Not like a boss making sure that why are you not following, you should follow. Not like that. Supporting means to assist them so that they can continue their vows nicely. For example, husband takes up some service for the temple or for the guru, then it's the wife's responsibility to assist in the service or to help so that way he'll have some time and some peaceful atmosphere to do that service like that. That is what is being described about. Follow the vows of the husband like that. Not like, okay, that is your vows, this is my vows. I will do whatever I want, you do whatever you want. Not like that. Supporting the husband like that. And the Chanakya Pandit talks about, Prabhupada quotes Chanakya Pandit in purport, when there are no fights between husband and wife, then Lakshmi Devi automatically comes to the home like that. So that this he is emphasizing in terms of favorably being exposed towards the husband like that. That's what the 20th verse indicates. Now going to next few verses are on the same theme, 26th and 27th verse. This who is describing this? Narad Muni is describing this to Yudhishthira Maharaj. So a chaste woman must dress nicely and decorate herself with golden ornaments for the pleasure of her husband. Always wearing clean and attractive garments. So interestingly, so two things are made here. One is neatness and cleanliness is emphasized in the dressing of a wife or woman like that. So Srila Prabhupada, I often remember this. Srila Prabhupada complimented Yamuna Devi Mataji, one of the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. She actually had only two saris, two dresses basically, to wear regularly. But she used to keep them so neat and clean, washing regularly every day and ironing nicely every day. So keep them so nice. Prabhupada complimented. See, Yamuna has such nice and clean clothes she maintains like that. He used to compliment like that. So more important than too many dresses or too much gorgeous dresses, emphasis for Brahmanical culture or a devotee is being neat and clean like that. So that is what is being emphasized here. Number one. Number two, emphasis is why the woman should dress nicely so that she is pleasing to the husband, not to show off for rest of the world, not to make herself attractive for the rest of the world. That is the other aspect being given. Because when a woman dresses nicely and neatly, it gives a pleasing atmosphere at the home for the husband also and for the children also. That's the aspect here. And then she should sweep and clean the household with water and other liquids so that entire house is always pure and clean. So this is another important responsibility or duty of a wife, to keep a home neat and clean somehow or other, like that. Of course, that doesn't mean a wife only should do all these things. It's a responsibility. That means she can delegate it. She can request husband, my dear husband, can you take care of this portion of the home to clean? My dear children, can you take care of this portion of the home clean? Can we always take a principle that whatever we take out from one place, we'll keep it back at one place. We'll teach that to train that to our husband, and train our children also accordingly, like that. So then becomes easy. Cleanliness becomes easy when we always maintain the principle of everything has a place, there's a place for everything, like that. So like that, wife ensures that everybody follows the cleanliness principles and helps to keep the home clean, like that. And then he says she should collect household paraphernalia and keep the house always aromatic with essence and flowers, and must be ready to execute the desires of her husband. So, not like husband should fulfill my desires, but I am ready to fulfill the desires of husband in terms of taking care of different responsibilities or duties or vows, like that. And then being modest and truthful, controlling her senses and speaking in sweet words, a chaste woman should engage in service of her husband with love according to time and circumstances. So it's important according to time and circumstances, not rigid thing, rigid process. What is favorable to husband at particular point of time, she acts, understands the mood of the husband and acts accordingly. And she's truthful and she controls her senses also described. And she's modest in terms of not thinking I am the greatest, I am better than my husband, not like that. Being modest in terms of one's own attitude of thinking, and modest in terms of external appearance also. That means not dressing so too gorgeously, like that. Of course, there are time, place and circumstances also described in the purport. So when you go into functions, it is absolutely okay. Now going to the 28th verse. So, of course, modesty also means not attracting others' attention towards us unnecessarily. That's also modesty principle. Then text 28, a chaste woman should not be greedy, but satisfied in all circumstances. That means not trying to get, okay, we already have one home, not trying to get a big home uh, that will show up so we can show off very nicely with everybody else, not like that. So of course, having a bigger home for service sake is not a problem, but not be greedy for just for showing off or just for having more and more and more like that. That is what is described here. And she must be very expert in handling household affairs and should be fully conversant with religious principles. So she should be expert in how to take care of home affairs, like that. So when we hearing all these principles, two things we can learn. One is, if we are a woman, we can see how I can cultivate these qualities, how I can improve in these qualities, like that. That's how our mood should be. Second thing will be, if we have girls as our child, we should consider how we can teach them slowly these principles nicely, like that. Teach them principles and skills also. And then she should speak pleasingly and truthfully, and should be very careful and always clean and pure. Thus, a chaste woman should engage with affection in service of a husband who is not fallen. So, Prabhupada focuses on the husband portion in this purport. Basically, husband should be pure Vaishnava, and then woman should be a chaste wife, so that all these symptoms can be followed and they both can make spiritual progress in Krishna consciousness. So, what does it mean, not fallen husband? Prabhupada writes, somebody who's practicing devotion service, somebody is following the four regulative principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, then such a husband is not fallen. So, wife should serve such a husband, like that. That means husband has a responsibility to practice being a pure Vaishnava, to practice serving spiritual master nicely, to practice principles of bhakti nicely, and to follow the four regulated principles nicely. Then wife can also serve such a husband like a chaste wife. So the next verse, 29th verse. Uh, So a woman who engages in service of her husband, following strictly in the footsteps of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, surely returns home back to Godhead with her devoted husband and lives very happily in the Vaikuntha planets. So the point being made here is when wife serves husband like that by taking inspiration from goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, who always serves her husband Vishnu. Similarly, if wife takes inspiration and continuously serves the husband like that, and husband situates himself in devotional service in service of spiritual master, then both of them together can go back to Godhead like that. Uh, yeah. So that is the point Prabhupada makes emphasis in purport that disciple should think of spiritual master as supreme lord like that. Similarly, wife thinks of husband like representative of spiritual master and representative of supreme lord and serves accordingly like that. That's so we can all grow in devotional service. Now, having completed this section about the qualities of a chaste wife or chaste woman, now we're transitioning to the last section, which is talking about the mixed classes. Remember, so far we heard about Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Mixed classes means a, for example, a man from a Brahmana man marries a Kshatriya wife. So that is considered one type of mixed class. That means Brahmana married Brahmana, that is same class, right? But a Brahmana marries Kshatriya, that is a different class. So Brahmana husband marries a Kshatriya wife or lower caste compared to Brahmana, right? Then that is considered suitable. It's called Anuloma marriage like that. Mixed class but Anuloma, it's okay, not bad. There, whereas Pratuloma marriage means a Kshatriya husband marries a Brahmana wife, for example. That is called Pratuloma marriage. That is not encouraged like that. So example is given in scriptures of two examples are given in the scriptures. One is for Anuloma marriage, is the Devayani, one king marries a wife called Devyani, who is Sukracharya's daughter, Devyani. So that is an example given for Anuloma marriage like that. And Pratiloma marriage is Kardamani. Kardamani marries Devhuti. Kardamani is the Brahmana who is in the forest, whereas Devhuti is the daughter of a king, Swayambhu Manu. So that is a example given for Pratiloma marriage, Anuloma marriage, sorry, Anuloma marriage, because he is a higher caste. The bridegroom is of a higher caste like that. And then, uh, so what is being emphasized in this purpose, in this verse, that uh, even though they are mixed classes, they also have, some of them have hereditary customs. That means customs that are coming from parents, so they'll follow that. Whereas some of them are below these classes also. Some of them, they don't follow any customs. Then they're like chandalas. So they're actually lowest class. So they're very sinful in nature like that. So yeah. So next two verses are describing how we should recognize our nature and conduct according to nature, according to the position only, like that. Not like even though I have Brahminical qualities, I'm acting like Sudra. That's not recommended. I have Sudrik qualities currently, I'm acting like Brahmana. That's not recommended. That means it doesn't mean that somebody who has Sudra qualities cannot develop Brahminical qualities. That's not being emphasized. Whatever is my current nature, I practice according to that. That is the emphasis here. And Prabhupada quotes Bhagavata verse also, which describes how it's far better to discharge one's own prescribed duties than doing somebody's duty like that. That's an important principle being highlighted here. That is the way we can make progress according to our nature if we cultivate our occupation and do that. And then, interestingly, uh, 34th verse, 33 and 34 verse are talking about a principle of how if somebody is very, very, very sinful, then they may be engaged in too much sense gratification. It's okay for them because the hope is when they're trying to enjoy too much, they'll give it up like that. That is for those people, not for people who already have some Kshatriya qualities, Brahmanic qualities, um, some Vaishya, Sudra qualities, not for us like that. For those people, examples are given When the fire is coming, if you put little bit ghee, fire will keeps on growing. But if you put lots of ghee one side, fire will get shut off. Similarly, very sinful people, they can follow that like that. It's described like that. And another example given is agricultural field. When you keep on putting crops like that, then it will not produce anything again. But if you give gap, some of you might have familiarity with agriculture. Like they put one crop and then they alternate with another crop, then alternate with another crop. That way, they'll keep the soil going nicely, production going nicely for the earth like that. So similarly, that example is given like that. So now the last verse for this chapter is emphasizing Chaturvarnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasaha. The Krishna says in Bhagavata that all the societies divided into different varnas and ashramas based on guna and karma, based on the qualities and activities performed, not based on who is born to Brahmana, who is born to Sudra like that. Prabhupada writes in the purport, if somebody is born to Sudra but he has Brahmanical qualities, he should be accepted as Brahmana. Somebody is born to Sudra but has Brahmanical qualities, we should accept as Brahmana like that. So the guna can mean two things. One is qualities, another is qualities in terms of the modes of nature, like goodness, passion, ignorance also. So based on those, we accept someone like that. So obviously, as practicing devotees, we cultivate mode of goodness qualities and we cultivate um, the Brahmanical qualities so that we can grow in bhakti and uh, for what purpose? To please the Supreme Lord. Because the section started uh, with the qualities of a human being, 30 qualities of human being. So why they're to be cultivated? So that they are pleasing to Krishna. That is the intention. So our focus should be on attention. How do we develop our attachment to Krishna, our attraction to Krishna? And for that process, we do everything else in life. So as long as we focus like that, then bhakti principle is maintained and we can grow in our devotion and please Krishna also that way. So we'll pause here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpa tarubhyasya kupa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mati.
Hari Om, Hare
can
Krishna.
I ask?
Yeah, go ahead, Mati.
Prabhuji, if a wife is a chaste wife and husband is not a devotee or he's not, he's like a practicing devotee, and if
Yes.
wife follows, like she serves her husband perfectly, then they both go to heavenly planets or no?
I don't know where they go. Law of karmas are very complex to decide. For example, husband is a non-devotee, you mentioned the condition. Let us say husband is always drinking, husband is always eating meat, husband is always doing gambling, and a wife is chaste wife, she's serving the husband to do all those activities. I don't know what will happen to such a wife like that, Mataji.
If
Makes
if
sense?
if a husband is like a practicing devotee or not drinking or something like that,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Then that is nice. That is nice. Then a chaste woman, even if, for example, she has more devotion than husband, still she remains chastity, and she inspires the husband with an example more than by teaching or instruction like that. That's how she can help husband to grow in devotion also. Like that, they both go to, they both make progress in devotion service. As devotees, our goal is not to go to heavenly planets, right? So we always see if husband is practicing devotee, even though he's not a pure Vaishnava, still we serve them as a chaste wife, and then we help each other in growing in bhakti. That way, we are always making progress towards going to Krishna and to pure devotional service.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Make sense?
Hare
Sure.
Krishna.
Okay, Mate. Hare Krishna. Thank
Hari
you,
Om,
everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.